The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of Bronxnet or the program underwriters.
Welcome to Public Health America, a 30-minute program on Bronxnet where we talk with national experts to promote health and social justice. I'm your host, Dr. William Latimer. We begin by focusing on a current health topic from the COVID pandemic to cardiovascular disease. Our goal is to provide you with not only the best science, but practical tips to live a healthier life. On Public Health America, we also celebrate what studies have long documented, namely the unparalleled value of a college education by setting the stage to pursue a career of your choice, increase lifetime earnings and opportunity, and champion the ability to engage in civil debate. But for many, finding a path to college is neither clear nor certain. What if you're a high school student with supportive parents, but feel daunted by the prospect of being the first in your family to attend college? What if you're a single mother or father and want to attend college but have no childcare? On Public Health America, our expert will also talk about decisions they made and support they received that helped them beat the odds. By sharing one or two life lessons, their stories may provide you with the inspiration and method to realize your dreams. This is Public Health America. Welcome to Public Health America. I'm your host, Dr. William Latimer. It is such a pleasure to welcome two guests with us today. Charlai Duckson, a sophomore at Mercy College and Mercy Scholar. Welcome, Charlai.
Hi.
And also Tina Thornton, Senior Vice President of Content Operations of ESPN. Welcome, Tina.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here.
Our pleasure, my pleasure. So Charlai, let me start with you. The Mercy Scholarship is a very, very special scholarship that provides full funding and a variety of other access to great services and events and mentoring at Mercy College. Do you remember where you were when you found out that you were selected as a Mercy Scholar?
Yes, it's still kind of like unbelievable right now, but I was at home with my mom and it was coming to like a deadline where I had to pick colleges. And it was kind of like, I was kind of getting a little bit disappointed because I got emails and he was saying like I had to have like a second interview. But during the second interview, he's like, oh, this is just to tell you you're a Mercy Scholar. And I was really excited. And my mom was so proud because when I first applied for the scholarship, like I didn't tell my mom, I just like applied for it. And when I was like going through the steps, like when they told me that I would have an interview, that's when I told her. And she's like, oh, I didn't even know you were gonna do this.
That's great. And it's wonderful that your mom could be with you during that moment. Tina, we're going to get to your position as Senior Vice President at ESPN soon. But you're also a trustee on the Mercy College board. Tell us a little bit about what drew you to Mercy College and the work you do with the Mercy Scholar Program.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. And I would tell you that I didn't really know much about Mercy College at all until a good friend of mine who's a professor there that I went to college with invited me to come see him and meet with him and said, you know, I think you'd be a really good commencement speaker. And I thought, okay, you know, let me go visit with him and see what Mercy College is all about. And when I went there, they just treated me to a day of exploration and showed me what a special place not only Mercy College was, but all the students were. And I loved the opportunity to sponsor students and to give a student an opportunity to go to college that may not be able to or may not have the finances to go. And when I was growing up, I was fortunate that my grandfather put $1,000 in an account when I was, first born. And that's how I went to school for at least two of my years. And then, I financed the rest. But to be able to help a student reach their goal and reach their dreams and not have to think about finances along the way was really important to me. And that's why I wanted to be a part of the Mercy Scholars Program.
Sure. It makes a lot of sense. Charlai, so tell us a little bit about a question I ask every guest is where were you born? And tell us a little bit about your formative experiences. Keep in mind that, and this is not a secret, the explicit goal of this show, particularly reaching young people in the Bronx and NYC generally, is to provide excellent models like the two of you, that college sets the stage for so many great things and that it's achievable even when you face or someone faces challenge. So Charlai, tell us, where were you born and what were some of your formative experiences?
Well, I was born in Queens, and recently I just moved to Long Island. I grew up with my mom and my sister, and my mom, she's always been like helping us, and she's always trying to like get us the very best. When I was growing up, like I started in private schools, and when I was getting ready to go to college, it was like she didn't really have enough for it, but she was like, "Oh, we're gonna find a way for you to go." And like even sometimes like when she had to like work two jobs at one point, she would always make time for me and my sister to do stuff.
That's great. And I mean, it may sound a little hackneyed, but that's because it's completely true. When people talk about resilience, which now is a popular term, when the research was done by the progenitors that coined that phrase, the number one factor that led to resilience to beat the odds was having at least one deeply caring person that was looking after the person that might be facing challenge. So Charlai, clearly your mom served that role, and Tina, while you may have had several of those, your grandfather clearly served that role as well. Charlai, tell me about what's your major and what are your current sort of career trajectory plans? What would you like to do?
I major in psychology right now, but like my plan is to be a sports physical therapist.
That's great. And what led you to think about sports physical therapy as a career?
Because I love helping people. My mom, she has lupus, and like whenever like her joints used to hurt, I always used to be like, okay, I'm gonna help you out, and it just made me feel better. Like to when she would actually be like, oh, that actually did help, or my knee feels better.
That's great. And so, you're giving me these perfect segues where I'll now pivot to Tina. So, Senior Vice President, Content Operations of ESPN. That sounds like an incredibly fun job. I'm sure it's a very complicated job. Tell us a little bit about what you do and what led you there.
Well, I'll just start by saying that ESPN has been a great company for me, and it was my first job out of college. So I have actually been at ESPN for 28 years at this point, and it's been a great opportunity. And so throughout my career at ESPN, I've worked, I started in the event production group, producing and working on live events, and then moved into a little bit more of the business of content along the way. I then, over the last 3 years or so, was the chief of staff for our president, Jimmy Pitaro. And then finally, just last November, became the head of content operations, which is a group of different business units that partner in content every day, from remote operations to synergy to the directing team to a big creative studio group. So more than anything, it's been a great opportunity to grow and to learn at ESPN in a variety of different businesses. And it's just been a great experience for me. And I hope Charlai has that same experience growing up, particularly in the sports field that she wants to get into.
That's great. So Charlai, back to you. So your mom was a key figure. I'm presuming, though you can tell me your sister was a key figure. What did the Mercy Scholarship mean to you? And were there challenges that you faced to attending college? Actually, let me start with this. Where did you go to high school? Let's start with that.
I went to the Mary Lewis Academy.
And where is that?
It's in Queens in Jamaica Estates.
Got it. And so as you were making your way through high school, were you facing any kind of challenges to get to college? And if so, what were they?
Yes. Well, like since like middle school and like high school, like I used to have like problems with like my grades, and it was just like I always like with my grades, I always wanted it to come out better, but it was like I stayed around like the 70s or I couldn't go any higher. And like my mom, she plays like a role in almost everything. We're like best friends. So she helped me out with that too. Because like when I was failing or like when I didn't do good, she kept on pushing me saying like, oh, like you could do better. And like when she would have like other family like try to talk to me, sometimes they would just be like, oh, maybe she's not a learner. Like maybe like school just isn't her thing, but my mom like knew I could do it. And I think like if she didn't push me to this day, I wouldn't be where I am. So the Mercy Scholarship like has been like a huge impact for me.
That's a wonderful story, and I must share this with you. We've had many guests on the program that are at Columbia and Harvard and Stanford, and you might be, and I think the average person on the street would be surprised to hear that many of them faced very significant challenges in school and were struggling in various ways, but then got through it. And again, had someone like your mom that helped them get through it. The other message I want to add, because I just think it's so important, several of our guests have said, there was that one moment where someone told me I couldn't do it. And if there's one point that I can make, it's if that ever happens to you, don't listen to them. And so I think that's another really important point.
Tina, can I add to that, if you don't mind?
I don't mind.
It's interesting because I have a 15-year-old daughter right now, and she's more athletic than she is academic. And I push her every day and she gets frustrated. And Charlai, I'm sure that you did the same with your mom. You were probably frustrated with her every day. And I feel every day that I'm trying to make her better and that she has it in her just as she does with her athletics. But it just gives me hope that I know she can get to where you are too, Charlai, and it makes me feel a little bit better about being a mom and pushing, a daughter to be the best that she can be.
Yeah, it's a tough. Now you're bringing my parent out in me. I'm a father of 3 daughters. It is a challenge. Maybe I should do a show on parenting. So this isn't the parenting show, but it's always that challenge of finding that right balance of, how do we motivate the people we love to be the best they can be, but also give them the space to be who they are, right? I mean, it's sort of, my wife has made it very clear that I have not found the perfect balance on that, but we're all striving. So Charlai, we've got about a minute left in this first part of the segment. What if you were to give a piece of advice to a young person in the Bronx or NYC or anywhere to sort of let's say they're in high school, that to try to make a path to college, based on your experience, what would you say?
I would just say just to like have faith and like just push yourself to do like more. Like I feel like everyone says like work hard and like, but you have to have faith also to believe that you can do it. And like just you have to like kind of just put yourself in the position to be like, okay, I'm lacking in this. If I want to get better, I need to do this.
That's great. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, Tina Thornton and Charlai Duckson will tell us a little bit more about their experiences, the great opportunity that college provides, and how that sets the stage for a lifelong career and lifelong learning. This is Public Health America. I'm your host, Dr. William Latimer. Welcome back to Public Health America. I'm your host, Dr. William Latimer. So Charlai, it's not uncommon for undergraduates everywhere, but certainly at Mercy and many other urban institutions, to hold down one or more jobs or helping to take care of family while they're going to college. It's my understanding that you have a job.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what you do and how do you balance that sort of work dash college experience?
Yes. I work at Rite Aid as a pharmacy technician in training. Sometimes it is hard because it's a full-time job, but I always put like my schoolwork as a priority first. So when I do find the times, normally like I'll do it like in the morning. But like luckily that I have a mom, like she supports me a lot that like even when stuff like does get like hectic, she's always like, oh, like if you need a break or like just like try to finish your schoolwork first. Like if you need a break from work, and my job is pretty understanding of like school activities that I have to do.
That's great. That's great. I think it's just important for our listeners to hear that, there are many students that sort of hold down a job and have other responsibilities, but still are successful at college the way you are. Tina, we haven't talked about your undergraduate experience yet. Obviously, or perhaps I shouldn't say it that way. Tell us the extent to which your undergraduate experience set the table for this, amazing career that you have at ESPN.
Yeah, I went to Wake Forest University in North Carolina, and when I was at Wake Forest, I got a job my freshman year working in sports information. So I was keeping stats for all the teams as I was still going to school. And like Charlai, it was important to me. I was getting paid. I was earning money. I was, for extra things. And it was important that I was doing that. And then in the summertime, I did internships. And at the time, my internships, I had 2 internships, one after my sophomore year and one after my junior year, both at CNN in Atlanta. Neither of them were paid internships because back in the day, when I went to college, they didn't have to pay interns. So I not only was doing my internship at CNN Sports or CNN Promotions one summer, I was also waiting tables, at a restaurant and earning money so that I could live there. My parents weren't giving me money to live in Atlanta during the summer, and I wasn't getting paid with my internship. And so that was really important to me that I was doing all that at once. And I find as a leader now that the best leaders are able to juggle multiple things. And I see that in Charlai too. You're able to juggle school, you're able to juggle being, a pharmacist in training. And those are all things that are really important. And it's led to me having, what I think has been a great career, because I think I've taken those leadership qualities that I learned in college of juggling things and been able to, do more and more in the broadcast industry, in the sports broadcast industry. And I've really just enjoyed that. And it's funny now, even as an adult, not only do I juggle work, I juggle home. And then I also, am juggling things like I'm still on the board of the athletic booster club at my daughter's school, or things like that I think are important that you engage with your family as well. So it's a lot, but it's, my college experience meant a lot to me, and it helped me be who I am today.
I think a key, you just said a number of important things. One thing I'll highlight, I think that the significance of internships, paid or unpaid, and experiential learning, you can't put a price tag on that. Not only does it tell you what you want to do and what you love, but sometimes just as often it can tell you what you don't want to do, which is a lot more valuable than I think sometimes people realize. I'll also mention my wife is a UNC grad. Go North Carolina, a lot of great schools there, including Wake Forest. So let me ask you this, Tina, and this might be an impossible question. What is the absolute coolest thing you've ever covered on ESPN?
Oh, there's so many cool things that I've covered. I don't think I could name.
I said it was going to be hard.
I will tell you the coolest thing. One of the cooler things that I worked on growing up was the NFL draft, because it's an organizational nightmare. And I love organizing big puzzles, and the NFL draft was a big puzzle, and I loved being a part of that. Since that time, I've gotten to do so many great things, whether it was our Sunday night football back in the day when we had NFL on Sunday versus Monday. I've done the Winter X Games, the X Games, college football. I used to do some outdoor events that were a little interesting, called the Great Outdoor Games and the Bassmasters Classic. But most recently, I got to, as the chief of staff for our president, I got to attend Wimbledon in 2019, the summer of 2019, and I got to see Coco Gauff beat Venus Williams in person, and my daughter was with me on that trip.
Wow.
And so that was really, really special to take her. And at the time she was 13, and I think Coco Gauff was 14 at the time. So to be able to see an athlete of that caliber was pretty amazing. So I would say that was one of my highlights over the years, but there have been so many different highlights that I've had. When you work at the sports network or ESPN for 28 years, you're going to be involved in a variety of cool things. So it's been great.
Yeah, that's amazing. And not to drive the point home too much, but it's to say, and this is what I want our listeners to hear, I'm not saying it's the only reason why, but certainly your undergraduate education and other training you did at Simmons and elsewhere set the table that allowed you to some extent to be competitive, to have that position. Then of course you were excellent, you worked your way up, but the amazing things that you've done and the exciting career you've led and are leading was made possible because you went to college. Is that fair? Can I say that?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I would also say, though, those internships and those things that you're doing and you're juggling during school are as important as college is. Because when I look at a resume nowadays, I look at not only not even so much where someone went. I just hope that they went to college. But the second thing that I look at is what experiential learning did you have? You mentioned it earlier, Dr. Latimer, about experiential learning. To me, that is so important. And even Charlai, working at the pharmacy now, while it's not directly related to sports medicine, there's a tie there. And that's going to be really important for her and for people to see that on her resume going forward. She could have done a variety of different things, and I'm just proud she's doing that because I think it will help her going forward.
I agree completely. So Charlai, back to you. Let's talk a little bit about the pandemic. So we've all been through a tough 18 months. 800 or so of the 4,500 higher education institutions are mandating vaccine. Most of the others are mandating vaccine or testing. We went through a year of online learning. I was just in the parking lot of Dobbs Ferry Mercy College, and it was packed. So people are coming back. How is your academic life going these days in light of the pandemic?
It's actually going really good. I think during the pandemic, it was really hard, but I think it gave me time to figure out what is the right study method, how to organize my time. Everyone doesn't have the same study organization, or some people do things differently. So I just kind of learned more about myself. So it's definitely given me and it's given me a push to study harder. So it's been pretty good.
That's great to hear.
I can't even imagine what she's going through. I have been home since March of 2020. Think about that. March of 2020, I've been in the office maybe 3-4 times since that time. And ESPN and the Walt Disney Company, have just put out a note that we're not going back until at least January.
Right.
And so even, for me, how do you deal with meetings all day? Do you get exhausted from Zooms? How do I put my notes together? It's very similar to what Charlai is going through. And whether she's in-person learning, Zoom learning, or having to do things, on her own with professors, I can't even imagine. It's hard for me as an adult. I'm sure it's hard for students, and for her to have such a positive attitude about it is great.
No question. So we're winding down. Charlai, what, if I were to say to you, what are the top 3 things that enabled you to join the Mercy College community and begin your education? What would those 3 things be?
I definitely think it's Well, my mom again, she supports me a lot. Like it's been a huge help and the motivation from her because she also has dyslexia, but like and like she could have just said like, "Oh, like I don't really need to like improve like my reading or writing or anything." But still today she goes to classes. That's what like one like big motivation for me. And just like the environment, like my sister, she's been helping me. She's really motivated me. Um and just like the Mercy community too, because when I have classes, like they're always willing to do like office hours with me, or when I need help with something, I can always email somebody.
That's great. And with just a minute or so or 45 seconds left, Tina, if there was one piece of advice you could give to young people today to motivate them to attend college or to get there and succeed, what would that be?
I would just say, pursue your dreams. If you want to go, figure it out. There is a way that you'll be able to figure out, whether it's through, financial aid, family, friends, whatever it may be. Applying for a scholarship like Charlai did and got, which is amazing. Pursue that dream. Don't think you can't, is what I would say. Don't think you can't, because you can. Everyone can in some way, shape, or form. You just have to motivate yourself and be motivated to do it.
That's great. I want to thank Charlai Duckson and Tina Thornton for joining us today on Public Health America. I want to thank our viewers for tuning in. I'm your host, Dr. William Latimer. See you next time here on Public Health America. Take care.